athletes, we as coaches, we can kind of come across as arrogant. And the last thing I want to do today is to come across as being arrogant. But I can tell you this, if you are not confident and you don't believe in what you do, you will not be as good as you need to be eventually. Well, that's what that comment meant to me after I thought about it for a little bit. I thought to myself, that's his office. So, every time that I go speak now, you know where my office is? My office is this floor right now, this gymnasium. When I walked in that door, I said to myself, this is my office today. I don't tell you that from an arrogant standpoint. I tell you that because if I don't believe that I'm going to come out here and go execute in front of you today, then what I tell myself matters. What you tell yourself matters. Because if you're always negative to yourself, I've seen great players that can beat themselves up, but you know what those guys do the best? They get back in the moment quickest. So everybody treats themselves a little different, but I'm telling you right now, what you tell yourself matters and what you tell your teammates matter. That doesn't mean we all have to be all, positive about every comment, but when you put somebody down and you affect their confidence, think about what it is that you're saying if you're doing that. Because, listen, I'm not telling you not to be real. If we can't be real, then we're not going to get better, are we? There's a difference between, saying positive things to somebody and getting real. Sometimes getting real is positive, because that's how you get better. I challenge all of you guys. I can see it in your eyes. I'm shaking a lot of your hands today, and I can look over here, and I can see a lot of people here, and I can see your eyes. There's a lot of ability in regards to leadership in sitting in here today. I was inspired this morning when I opened up the Bakersfield paper and saw the article about the quarterback that came back after playing baseball for a couple of years and said, football's my favorite sport. Is he sitting here today? Just curious. All right, man. Inspired me today, just so you know. Big time, man. I love when I talk about composure, yeah. I love when I talk about all of those things that you bring to the table. It's big time. But I'm sure he has a lot of teammates that are just like him, that have the same abilities. I'm going to give you quickly my two go-to sentences my final year of coaching. My first one was this. So when I got into that negative thought process, by the way, we all will. We will all have negative thoughts. That's a given. I'm not going to change that part of you. What I can change, and hopefully you'll help yourself change with today, is start to recognize that your negative thoughts are taking you in the wrong direction. So when I would have those negative thoughts that were taking me into that bad place, putting me on edge, I would go to this. I would say to myself, I've been a head coach for 30 years. I think it's going to be okay. Really simple statement, me personally. That's how I would get back in the moment. Because you know what I was doing? 90% of those negative thoughts were things I simply couldn't control. I was wasting time and energy, and I was stressed out, and I was tired all the time because I was thinking about things I couldn't even control. My second one was a really simple one. And I used this one a lot more during games and practices because I would start getting hyped up, jacked up, and I would start to say things that maybe I didn't want to say, and I would always have to remind myself, if I started thinking negatively, just stay in the second. Just stay in this second. That's my positive comment that gets me back in the moment. And that's how I like to say it with my own brain. That gets me back to that, you know what, I don't need to be worried about all that negative stuff. Let's get back in the moment and let's go forward. Let's not go backwards. So, all of you, coaches, make your athletes do this. Coaches, make yourselves do this. Document your negative thoughts for 1 week. Just do it. Secondly, you come up with your go-to sentence. I've given you some examples. Any coach, Sandy, if you need me to send you anything, if any of my notes, I can send it out to you. You can send it out to the coaches, whatever we need to do to help the process so that we all will follow up with making our own go-to sentence. Because I can tell you right now, it's one of those strategies that change a lot. Change mine. The second way to potentially develop a 1%er is to create what we call process goals. Now, process goals aren't your normal goals. Process goals is anything, any type of goal that you can control. All right, so let me give you the exact definition here. It's defined by what I can control on a daily basis. It's defined by what you can control on a daily basis. All right? Almost every year, a team might sit down before the season starts and say, well, what are our goals this year? And you might say, well, we want a conference championship, we want to win a national championship. Everybody has those goals when they start day number one. Those are things you cannot control, but here's what you can control. You can control your actions daily, and when you do that and you stay focused on what you do daily, the conference championships and national championships will take care of themselves. The only thing you get to control is what you do daily. And if we, as coaches or as athletes, worry about winning championships, or we worry about our statistics, that is a result. It is not going to help you go forward. I can promise you that. It's going to make you a lot more miserable. My process goals and your process goals should be something that reflects who you are as a person. The integrity, your character that goes along with that. We should use our sport, whatever it is that you play, to inspire others. And I know you do. What you don't always realize is there's always somebody watching you. You're inspiring in more ways than you can imagine. This next comment is one that I need all of you guys to hear, and that is this. Our sport should not define us. My sport defined me for 23 years of being a head basketball coach. I was miserable. I was stressed out. I allowed my sport to define me. That doesn't mean you don't work hard. That doesn't mean you don't care. That simply means what I want all of you guys to do is use your sport to get what you want. Don't allow your sport to use you. So many times what we see is this, and as a basketball coach I'll speak directly from my perspective, and that was everything was great until we got to the first scrimmage, and then all of a sudden there's going to be 3 or 4 guys that didn't play quite as many minutes as they thought they were going to play, and the next thing you know we have chemistry issues, and we have problems. Now why do I bring up playing time? I think you all get why I'm bringing that up, right? Because it is one of those things that you cannot control. The only thing you can control is what you do daily to be the best that you can be. So why allow lack of playing time to affect us so negatively? It's one of those things that's confusing, and I get it. I was an athlete myself for many years. But we allow that's how we allow the sport to define us, because, your mom or your dad or your grandma or your grandpa or your best friend's like, man, you ought to be playing more minutes. And I told my son one time when he had an injury, he came back from his injury, and he played basketball as well in high school, and he didn't get to start, and he came home and started complaining. He's like, man, I need to get to start tonight. I'm like, if you're not good enough for the coach to start you, it's not obvious enough for him to start you, then what are you complaining about? I'm probably that opposite dad, I'm like, man, dude, go learn what you're going to do. And I'm telling you guys the same thing. Why are we whining around about all that stuff? And there's no coach that I've ever met in my 30 years of being a head basketball coach that's trying to screw somebody. I can assure you of that. They all care, but they have a job to do, so recognize that. Don't allow that to affect you. Just keep being you. Keep being better. Keep trying to get better. All right, I got out of the hiking over there just a tad. My wife's nodding her head up and down. I'm going to give you quickly 4 of my process goals that I had personally. I had 7. I'm going to give you 4 of them. Number 1, and I would grade myself daily on this. So these process goals that I'm getting ready to tell you about were right on my wall in front of my desk. And every day when I got out of practice, I would walk into my office, I would look at my process goals, and number 1, I would grade myself on a scale of 1 to 10. If I got 8 or better, 80% or better, I was doing okay. If I got 7 or less, I needed to work on this process goal immediately. This is how you get better as a person. You have to work on your mental toughness daily. One of the things that people don't realize is that we will come out here, we'll work on our skills every day in basketball. We'll do this number here, we'll work on ball handling, we'll get shots up, we'll do all that stuff. And then we don't work 1 second on our mental toughness, and we wonder why come game time we can't perform under the pressure when it actually hits. Or come lifetime, really, because that's really what I'm here, like when life hits, because it's going to. That's when we want to be able to handle it a lot better, no matter what the circumstances are. Number one that I had for myself personally was this: did I make my basketball players better men today? I asked myself that every day, that question. And I graded myself. I gave myself an actual number because I wanted to make my basketball players better men every day. And I had to challenge myself to do that. And if I didn't challenge myself to do that, I may forget. That sounds weird. Sometimes we get all wrapped up in the X and O's. We forgot the real purpose were there. How did I do that? I'm just going to give you a quick example here of how I helped my players be better men. Day number one, it was a mandatory thing. All my players had to sit in the front 3 rows of their classrooms, unless a teacher had a different seating chart. And we held them to that. We'd walk around, sure they're doing what they're supposed to. We communicate with all our instructors and say, hey, listen, we put them in our first 3 rows. Why is that? Because it is a proven fact that if you sit in the front 3 rows, you will be a better student than anybody that sits behind that. Now, that doesn't mean there are some smart ones sitting in the back. I'm just saying right now that if I would have been sitting in the back, I was a 3.2 GPA in college. If I'd have been sitting in the back, my GPA probably might have been 2.5 or 2.6. I probably would have struggled a lot more. You know, when you're sitting in the front, it's just easier because I can kind of look at me and I can look at you, right? That's the same way when you're in the class. It's the ability to focus when you need to focus. Sometimes you have to force yourself to do it. The first 3 rows sometimes forces you to do that. One of the things that I have to tell all of you athletes, and I'm sure you've been told this in different ways already, but there is always somebody watching you. And so I would always challenge my guys with that. I would always make that statement to them, like there's always somebody watching you. So how do I make them better men? By challenging them, let them know that, listen, by what you do, good or bad, it is going to affect your basketball teammates, it's going to affect your basketball coaches, it's going to affect every other student athlete, it's going to affect the athletic director, it's going to affect the president of the college, it's going to affect everybody in a good or bad way. Because, man, I've seen so many positive things happen when I talk about this type of thing, and sometimes we only talk about the negative. But if you do something that's negative that affects not just that teammate that's sitting beside you right now, but as I've said, it's going to affect everybody at that college. In one form or another, people are watching you. Understand, I challenge you all, represent. Represent. You know, my wife, she always would challenge herself with this one, and she gave this to me last week. She says, did I use my words for good today? Think about that for a second. Did you use your words for good today? Or did the words that came out of your mouth hurt somebody? Now listen to me. There's that fine line between being real, because if we're not being real guys and gals, we're not going to go forward, right? We have to be real. So sometimes when we, especially as head coaches, we say things that are difficult for players to hear sometimes. But if it's for the right reasons, you're going to be better. If it's for the wrong reasons, which I am guilty of, you're not going to be better because of that. It's a challenge every day for all of us to try to use what we say for the good of others. My second one, did we get better as a team today? So there were things daily that we would do that would be team-oriented. Anything that had to do with that, and I would grade myself on that. How well did I do today with that particular process goal? Number 3, was I prepared to the best of my ability? And I think we could all have that as a process goal today. Is, were you prepared to the best of your ability? In my case, did I watch enough film? Was I prepared in regards to recruiting? Did I make enough recruit phone calls? Did I communicate with my players enough? Did I do all the things that I'm supposed to do as a head basketball coach? My fourth one was how well did I handle my own stress? This is the one that I didn't always get an 8 or better on, because I've already kind of indicated to you that I struggled with this one sometimes. And I would, every now and then, I'd have to give myself a little grade, because I'd walk out of a practice and think, okay, I way overreacted to that situation, or I way overreacted to this. And so I had my own work to do. It's something that you have to do daily if you want to be better. And you know, I didn't write this in my notes, and I think it's important for me to share with everybody. I had 7 total. One other one that I had was, how good a father and husband was I today? You think, you ask yourself this question, like, what's that have anything to do with sports or being a head coach? It has everything to do with being a great head coach, because if I have my personal life intact, I'm going to be a heck of a lot better head coach. And it's important for you guys to recognize that yourself personally, because that when you have your personal life intact, you can be a heck of a lot better student after. So, quickly, I want to challenge coaches. This is what I had my players do. They had 3 process goals, and they had to put it in their locker every day. One of my assistants would walk in with them after practice, and they would grade themselves. It literally takes less than 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes that will help our players get better every single day. Coaches, do it yourselves. I promise you will be better because of it. I can raise my hand and tell you, when I'm focused on something, it's a heck of a lot easier for me to really think about it when the stress really hits in the middle of a practice, in the middle of the game. When the emotions start to fly high, that's when people do crazy stuff, right? I'm raising my hand on that. 80% or better, keep doing what you're doing. 70% or less, you got to get better. You got to fix it. You got to concentrate on it more the very next day. The last strategy, before I tell my story, is what we call hype number, H-Y-P-E. This was, for me personally, this was the #1 strategy that helped me immediately. It helped me immediately. I'd never heard this phrase before. So what is a hype number? It's the emotional level at which you play. Coaches, it's the emotional level at which you coach at your best. Players, it's the emotional level that you play at your best. So there is always an emotional level that we are at our best. I'm a pretty hyped up guy, right? You can already tell that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, my number is 8. So when I am at my best, I can absolutely be the best coach, the best speaker, the best husband, when I'm at an 8. When I go above an 8, which I did real often, then all of a sudden I become a more ineffective head basketball coach. Coaches always complain about players not being ready. Coaches, that is about your players' hype numbers. That's what that's about. We have different ways of saying that, don't we? You know, you guys got to pick it up today. You guys got to do this. You guys got to do that. I can tell you this. This is a fact. Players practice on a consistent basis under their hype number, and players consistently start games over their hype number. Subs that come off the bench consistently come off the bench over their hype number. So let me tell you what happens to a coach when they are over their hype number. I can give you true live examples of myself personally. When I would get upset with an official's call and I would get above my 8, I would no longer communicate with that official like I normally did. I would go above, I'd get to the 9, and sometimes I'd be at a 10, almost off the chart. Like he's so intense, and I'd be yelling and screaming. Well, what happens when I get above my high number? Immediately, boom, technical foul. I affect my team in a negative way. They get 2 points. This happened to me over and over and over. Kind of embarrassing, really, but I got to be as real as possible today, right? Like I'd call a timeout, I'd be ticked off at my team because they maybe weren't playing as hard as they needed to play. And so I'd be in that timeout. And don't get me wrong, nobody's ever going to question my passion, okay? I'd be motivated, I'd be getting after them, I'd be going to work. You can already tell I got to be way over the hype. Then I'd walk out of that timeout and I would think to myself, did I say anything remotely close to helping my team get better in that timeout? Like coaches, my athletic director, who was the head basketball coach for over 30 years, he always used to say, Coach, just videotape yourself in a timeout. He said, you'll laugh at yourself. Because if you don't calm yourself down, we coaches are guilty, right? If we don't calm ourselves down enough, we won't say we need to really help you guys get better when it's all said and done. It was just one of my weaknesses, as you could already tell. I can say this to coaches as well, that if you start your practice under your hype number, I can say this to instructors, to athletic directors, in meetings, I can say this to anybody and everybody, that if you start that practice or that meeting or that class under your hype number, rest assured your student athletes will all be under their hype number too. It is our job as coaches to be at our hype number, the one that allows us to be at our best, no matter how tired and how difficult it is sometimes, because believe it or not, athletes, we are humans as well. And we are really we are tired, and we get exhausted, and sometimes we walk in that, we get ready to walk between the lines, and if we don't think about being mentally prepared, it's a struggle for us too. Well, the challenge is when you step between the lines, you must be at your ideal height number. You all right now can give yourself a height number, okay? I'll talk about the definition completely of it here in just 1 second. I had a player that was a point guard in my final year of coaching that would get over his height number every time he would hit a three-point shot. And so we started to obviously work on it. He struggled big time. He was probably the greatest example in 30 years I could give you of somebody that played over their height number all the time. He would make a three-pointer and then he would go back to the other end and almost, you could just predict what he was getting ready to do. He was getting ready to either try to strip the guy that he was guarding, which is an absolute no-no, or he would try to jump the line and get a steal on the pass to this play. And literally, 98% of the time when he did that and he took himself out of position, 98% of the time the opposing team would score. It was unbelievable how many times it worked. Now, I want you guys in football, think about what your football coaches have been telling you. To stay in your gaps, to be disciplined, to read whoever it is you're supposed to read. Same thing goes with volleyball in terms of the block, and in terms of the setter, in terms of where you're supposed to be. Are you disciplined or are you taking chances? Which part is it? Because those things, when you get over your height number, you get too jacked up, you start to do crazy stuff. You start to think you can do things you're not capable of. That point guard would get the ball next time up the floor, here he comes. He'd go 1,000 miles an hour. He'd get to the free throw line, I'm thinking, and here you go, he'd throw something crazy up. 9 out of 10 times, he'd miss it. 1 out of 10, he'd think, man, I'm an All-American. We had to settle him down in a hurry, right? It was hard for him. Some of us have that issue, and when you have that issue, you have to be able to recognize in the moment, man, I'm above my height number. That's what I love about this concept, because coaches, it gives us a common language with the athletes. Instead of me ripping anymore, all I have to say is, you know what, you're below your height number, you need to pick up. Get up there, let's go. Immediately, you know what that means. Hey, above your height number, get back down to that 6, man. And you know immediately what that means. So how do you do that? How do you execute? Settling yourself down. What did I just do? I just took a deep breath. Like, that sounds so simple, doesn't it? When you're in the